Good morning, AM Lockport. Welcome, everyone. I do not see any guests. Hopefully we'll have someone. Does anyone have any announcements to present before the club? Mike Licata. Mike. What do you have for us, Mike? Uncle Mike, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. VP of Membership, Marty. Just to remind everyone that dues are due. Some of you have paid me already, so thank you for that. I have an update. It is $68.89 if you pay on PayPal. You can do that through the AM Lockport website. And Margot also wanted me to remind you that if anybody's looking for any quick cash opportunities in the month of October for the Niagara Wine Trail Hall of Wine, we are looking for actors. It is a paid gig from 11:30 to 5 o'clock. I think the third Saturday of October. For anybody that's interested, I know some people have reached out. If anybody has any questions or they'd like to make some one day of work, quick cash, please reach out to Margot. And that's all I have for my announcements this morning. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Mike. Any other announcements? Okay, we will have the pledge to the flag then. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Next, we have Carol Ann Halstead with the invocation. Carol, welcome.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. Many years ago, Ralph Smedley had a dream of an organization where people could improve their communication and leadership skills. And I know I am inspired by my fellow Toastmasters, hearing about their trials and triumphs, and just hearing how everyone improves their communication skills through this organization. And from its humble beginnings, they now have a yearly Toastmaster International Convention. And today that is our theme, and we're very anxious to hear about it from our Toastmaster, Kate Orr.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Those of you who are here in person, extra special. Those of you zooming in from a distance, thank you for sharing this space with us. I'd like to share who is here today on September 4th. On Zoom, we have Margot, David Jones, Mike Florio, Marshall, and Tracy. Anyone else did I miss? Hi, everybody. Good to see you in Zoom land. Here in person, we have Len Thornton, Mark Campos coming bright and early, as well as Darcy Colby, our Sergeant at Arms, all here long before Mary and I at 6:40. So, oh my gosh, they've been here overnight maybe. And we have also Steve Smith, Jill Roaring, Mary Cavanero, Carol, we just saw, Marty, we just saw, Sylvia Baptiste, Dave Licata, and Phil Russell. Am I missing anybody? All right, great. It is so good to be back in person. It does make for an earlier morning, but it really makes for an excellent experience. And today's topic is the experience of the conference. Can I see by a show of hands, has anyone in the Zoom space or in the room been to the conference? And nearby, it was in Chicago, it was in DC. I never went. So this was something. And from everyone who I heard who went and had been to previous conferences, there is an energy that Toastmasters is back. We never left, but it's as if Toastmasters was and has been the best kept secret. Why is it a secret? Why is Toastmasters a secret? We should be shouting it at the rooftops. We should be sharing our voices to help others share their voices. This was a very inspirational conference. Save the dates. Maybe we could go to Canada next year. It's in Vancouver. And so there was so much to do and see. In the outside city of Philadelphia, there were activities. You could add extras and history tours. Maggie and I barely left the hotel for several days. That's how many workshops there were. And I want to talk about something that was very inspirational. So it's kind of expensive to go, but there's speakers and workshops, and you can't even take advantage of all of them. And if you had to pay for those by the hour or individually, it would have been more expensive. But back here in this room, in from the time that I joined, we were back at Friendly's. There was times before that at the hotels in town, and then we were at Tom's Diner, and then we were at the Bewley Building, and then we were at the YWCA for so long, and then we were here at the YMCA. Think about all the times that that you spoke with others, your mentors, your evaluators. Think if you had to pay hourly for the advice you got from every person who's ever mentored you or given you advice or given you tips. I think of like Phil Russell. I bet Phil Russell's like hourly fees for his professional work are very high and he's worth every penny. And here he is giving his advice for $0 to us, to Dave Licata, a generation of advice. He's not charging us for his advice or sometimes his grouchiness, but I think he left it at the door today. You were early, you were smiling, and that's what we need to leave whatever nonsense is in our lives at the door and be here in this space. And think of all the investment we've put into one another, all the times that you've leaned on each other, all the times that you've asked questions and found answers. If you had to pay for that from a professional, do you know how much you would have invested over these years and years of Toastmasters? A lot more than the $66 for the 6 months, right? So thank you, Mr. Treasurer, for reminding us to pay our dues. It's due by the end of September. Oh my gosh, it's September 4th. So we have to turn that in by September 30th. So please get that going. Okay. I also would like to give us a reminder to print the agendas. At our officer meeting last Tuesday night, we talked at length about having printed agendas. You didn't see those today here in the room. Don't rely on the website. The website might be down. A couple of us noticed it was down this morning, right when I was trying to print those agendas. So print those in advance. And you know what you can do? You can print a complete agenda because everybody has confirmed ahead of time also. We're not scrambling. So thank you, everybody who confirmed. And we'll get to some of the inspirational messages from the conference. But first, let's get to our roll holders and some housekeeping if we need it. I would like to invite up Mike Licata again, who was already grammarian. Didn't realize that. He picked up the word master too. So he'll be the word master and the grammarian today. Please introduce both right now.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning again, fellow Toastmasters. My job as grammarian this morning will be to chronicle the both good and bad uses of the English language. And my job as wordmaster this morning's word, I put it on the agenda late yesterday, is insight. It's a noun with the definition being power or act of seeing into a situation. Act or result of apprehending the inner nature of things or of seeing intuitively. I just want to remind everybody that participates in table topics this morning to use the word. This morning's word is insight, and I'm sure that after the conference, Kate can bring a lot of insight into how to improve Toastmasters and her experiences. Back to Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. We also have Joe Budnick in the room. Is it your first day of school today or you started Tuesday? And he still can fit us in. So bravo, Mr. President. Thank you for that. I would like to next invite Sylvia up, and then we'll have Marshall and Dave Licata on deck. So be ready. You're on for Jester, sir. So be ready. Sylvia as our master.
Good morning. Good to see smiling faces. First day of school, all excited. Insight. Great word. This morning I'm Esther pregnant pause, as they say. And I'm also going to count so's. And I'm going to also count, what did you call it? I had it last night in my head when I went to bed. The starting sentence, restarting sentences many times. So that's my job this morning, and I'll report at the end. Kate?
I'll give a shout out to our tech masters, our Zoom masters. If we were paying them hourly, my goodness. So thank you very much, gentlemen, while we're getting situated. We have Marshall up next as our quote master. Do you have a quote to share for us? Give us some insights, Marshall.
Hello, morning everyone. I'd like to share a Chinese idiom, the joy of Confucius and Yan Hui. The joy of Confucius and Yan Hui. Story 1. Yan Hui was a student of Confucius. He was very poor and lived in a slum at a tent. Every day he only had one meal, used a leaf to have some flowers, and used a half gourd to drink water because he didn't have a bowl. And all the people were worried about Yan Hui's poor condition. But Yan Hui happy all the time because he liked reading. He was knowledgeable. When people are very spiritually fulfilled, you are not care about material poverty. Story 2, Confucius. Confucius and his students were surrounded by enemies. For many days, they had no food and starving, but Confucius still happy. A student was angry and scolded Confucius. You always teach us to be a gentleman, be kind, and abide by morality and laws. Now we are in trap by base persons. How can you explain it? Confucius said, gentlemen, when gentlemen encounter harsh conditions, they can maintain their good character and keep being kind, abide by morality and law. But base persons would do a lot of bad things. Thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. And Dave Licata, are you ready to be our jester today? Thank you.
You grow up, you hear the same set of jokes, all of us. And they're local jokes from, the gang on the street. And then you're fortunate enough to go away to camp. So I went away to Camp Turner. And now you can get jokes from the guys that live on other streets in other parts of the Diocese of Buffalo. So this is my default joke, suitable for a mixed audience. Guy walks in a bar with his dog. He wants a beer. Says, how much is the beer? The bartender says, well, it's $1, sir, per draft. So I don't have any money. Well, if you don't have any money, I can't give you any beer. And he said, but if I can prove to you that not only can my dog talk, he can answer questions, will you give me a beer? And he said, oh, okay, well, yeah, that works. We'll trust you on this one. So the guy turns at the bar, looks down at his dog, and says to the dog, who's the greatest baseball player ever? And the dog goes, ruff, ruff. The bartender throws them into the street. They're all disheveled. The guy that wanted the beer gets up, looks at the dog. The dog goes, should I say DiMaggio? Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dave. Good baseball and dog joke. Okay. Since he's on deck and ready, I will next invite our timer and after that, our quiz master. So our timer, Mark.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. My job as timer is to keep us on the straight and narrow, to make sure we speak within our allotted time parameters. Pay attention. We have an important change that goes into effect starting today. We are now conforming to the TI standard for table topics, which means it is now 1 to 2 minutes. Buffer is the same, 15-second buffer. This will help our more inexperienced Toastmasters. You only have to go 45 seconds. I would expect us veterans to be able to go a little bit longer than that, but maximum is still 2:15. Speeches are 5 to 7 unless you tell me otherwise. Evaluations 2 to 3 minutes with a 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer on the speeches. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Mark. And next we have our quiz master, Mary. Mary, what is your role today with listening?
I'll be listening to everybody's listening skills and report at the end of the meeting. It's cold here. It's nice and warm in David Jones's country. I mean, wherever he lives. Yeah.
Perfect. Is it warm where you are? Where are you, David Jones? In your country of confusion or maybe clarity? Hopefully clarity.
North Carolina. It's in the low 60s. So it's
Low 60s. I don't even know where we're at today. I was going to say it's about the same. It's a nice sunny day. Ah, that's right. You were there. All right. Next we have Joe is stepping in as our general evaluator. My mother is feeling ill, so she was debating Zooming in. She unfortunately cannot join us today. All right, so our GE, what is your role, Mr. General Evaluator, Mr. President?
Well, Katie, I hope your mom feels better. So my job today will be evaluating the evaluators and the general theme of the meeting. And I say best of luck to all of our speakers today. I'm sure everyone will do great. And yes, yesterday was the first day back from school. So far, so good. So.
You're going back today?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. It looks like if I'm seeing this correctly, be sure to mute yourself if you are not called upon right now. I believe we have 4 members in the space who do not already have designated roles. Looks like Jill, Margot, Len, and Steve. Just giving you a heads up there, Tracy. And Tracy and Mark and I, we already prepared about table topics, giving this option to help our newer members step up. You all still, as experienced Toastmasters, are challenged to go to that red light. That hasn't changed. So that length you should strive for as seasoned Toastmasters. We go to the red and then wrap it up. Go to the red and then wrap it up. I did hear that at the conference. So anybody who's seasoned, you should strive to fill your time. Okay, Madam Table Topics Master Tracy, are you ready?
I am. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And Jill, you're there. I'm going to call on you first. Can you, well, I'll wait till you get up to the front. But our themes, our table topics are all going to be around conferences, meetings, whether or online classes. So you can change any of these to a conference, meeting, or online class. But Jill, at conferences, meetings, online classes, what do you find most valuable? Is it the actual learning experience or is it the camaraderie with the other participants in the class? And please use the word insight. Jill Roaring.
Madam Table Topics Master. That's a very interesting question. And it deserves 2 answers. Because the experience of a conference or a class on Zoom is much different than an in-person. Let's face it, we all appreciate coming here for our meetings over doing them on Zoom. For the learning experience, you can probably get it at both situations. For the camaraderie, definitely in person, because in-person conferences, you have the time in between sessions, in between dinners, you have the dinners. And it's time to meet other people, to see where they're from, to get their insight on what is happening out in the world beyond our place. I've been to several conferences over the years, several for Toastmasters, been to some for the Hosta Association, been to meetings for other things. And they're always so much, they can be so much more interesting when you're hands-on and feeling what's going on a day-to-day basis with other people. So I think I'd probably prefer in person for the camaraderie, and you still get the learning, where Zoom, you pretty much just get the learning. So that's my answer. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Jill. Next, I'm going to call up Len Thornton. And Len, your question's going to be at conferences, meetings. A lot of times they're in nice, beautiful locations, but you never get to leave the hotel because you're too busy in your meetings. Can you tell me what really is the best location that you would like to go to for a conference?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. If I were to go away to a conference as opposed to participating from the comfort of my living room, as we do on Zoom, I think it would have to be someplace warm and tropical. I've not been to Hawaii yet. Hawaii seems like a great venue to maybe play hooky on a couple of the seminars and go out there and just enjoy, find a beach not too crowded, have an icy drink in my hand and a book. I mean, is there anything more relaxing and soul affirming than that? I can't think of anything. But let me get back to Toastmasters. As I was growing up, the only time you ever saw multiple faces on a screen was watching Hollywood Squares. Who remembers that? Okay. And it was interesting to watch not just the person who was going to deliver the next joke or one-liner, but how people who weren't speaking conducted themselves. What was their attention level, their attention span? And what were they doing? And similarly, when I'm at home, as over the summer, and zooming in to meetings, I look at the people who are not participating directly, but who are there as spectators. What is their conduct? Are they centered in the screen? Are they distracted? Are they doing something else at the same time? Now, we all have ADHD now. That's just a function of having cell phones and all that constant stream of inspiration and entertainment at our fingertips. So it's very tempting to not pay attention when you're on Zoom, or to just stop your video at any given time or for long periods of time. I challenge everyone in this room, if you call in by Zoom or you're here in person, full attention to the speaker. That's what we're here for. We're here to listen, to watch, and to learn. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Len. Sorry about that. It took me a while to find my audio button. Next, Steve, I'm going to call you up to the lectern. And your question is going to be, some of the other participants have answered this, but I want to tell you, as I get older, the less and less I want to travel. And I'm getting to the point is I don't want to go to conferences anymore. Tell me, do you like online conferences or do you like to be able to travel to new locations? And what do you find valuable about each scenario?
Well, thank you, Table Topics Master. First, let me just drink this in for a minute. It's nice to be in front of a live audience again. Yes. Now, to answer your question, do I like Zoom conferences? No. That's straight enough. I much prefer the live one-on-one and group interactions. Those of you who go back a long way probably remember that when I first got into this, Mike Reinbold and I, or as Dave likes to refer to us, Statler and Waldorf, from the Muppets, if you remember the two old guys in the balcony. I don't see any response out there. Yeah, he thought we reminded him of those two because we were always cutting up in the background. And we haunted these conferences and we had fun. There were people that we only saw at conferences, which we got to reacquaint with. We actually got put to work, and that's the downside of that. We got known there. So if they needed something, hey, you two, come over here. We need you. Okay. And I did work several functions at these things. He got, I think they call it logistics, which is a fancy name for sergeant of arms. And we were doing sound for the contest. Now, I had a lot of fun doing that. We made a good pair because Mike Reinbold doesn't have a mean bone in his entire body. I don't suffer from that handicap. So sometimes I'm attempting to regulate the sound, the contestants, when we're doing the setups, and they were saying, you got me too loud. I know I have you too loud. I want to know where too loud is and stay below that. They didn't understand what I was doing. I knew what I was doing. Get away from me. So, but when they were up there, I was constantly adjusting the sound to make them sound good. That's what I was there for. And I enjoyed that aspect of it. We enjoyed going to all these conferences. And I would very much enjoy going to live ones as opposed to being on Zoom. But to answer the other part of your question, no, I don't mind traveling. We've gone as far as Binghamton, but I like the closer ones like Rochester. That's a great place to go. So thank you for that, Madam Table Topics person. It always gives me insight.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve, for all of your insight. I'm going to, Katie, did you want to ask for the word of the day in the timer?
Sure. Step right up, Mike, for the word of the day. He's already on deck. Thank you, Tracy. Very well done. Bravo to Tracy as an excellent table topics master. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you again, Madam Toastmaster. I heard Jill use the word, Steve snuck it in, but I did not hear Len use it. I'm going to put it out to the crowd. So Len didn't use it. He didn't use it. So vote for Jill or Steve for table topics on the word. And I'm going to call up Mark, our timer.
Thank you, Mr. Wordmaster. I am pleased to report that all three contestants took the challenge to heart, using the buffer in some cases to the fullest. Jill at 204, Len 214, and Steve at 213. But as you heard it, Len failed to use the word, so a poll will go up shortly for Jill or Steve. Madam Toastmaster.
The ballots are at the check-in station, despite the agenda not being there. And Darcy, our new Sergeant at Arms, will come around and we'll add those up with the online poll. Thank you, Mark, for juggling a poll and timing, and Len for backing him up. Okay. I think you all rose to that challenge by having table topics stay the same, except allowing a bit less than it allows for when we have our newer members and guests, gives them kind of a chance to increase their confidence. And that's what we're here for, about confidence. We're here in these meetings, I bought, so at the conference, of course, they have a handy dandy store set up the whole time. So I did buy some goodies. I didn't bring them all today, but I had a notebook to take notes at all the presentations that I was able to attend, many of whom were led by speakers who were past international champions for the last 20 years. There were so many educated speakers, inspirational speakers, Golden Gavel winners, which is, there's all these things I've heard of in the ether of Toastmasters, but really was immersed in. And Maggie couldn't be with us today. She's with her husband for his birthday. And so she couldn't be in, she's on a plane right now. So send her the best wishes on a plane. She was very inspirational to get me to all these things. Do you think I was on time? It was because of Maggie that I was on time to all of these things. And it was really something where you can learn from one another. We interviewed candidates. There were so many things. I'd like you to take a look at our TI website. It has been transformed little by little, nothing so much that you'll feel like a fish out of water. The Pathways program is increasing, improving all the time. And the common thread of folks who'd been to the conference or many times or were brand new was that the leadership is listening. The headquarters is listening. And that's something I feel like that was lacking 10 years ago. And so we have a lot of young energy and inspirational voices. That was very exciting. So after several days of interviewing and voting, elections, business meeting, and also dance parties, there was a sing-along every night with an Irish international president from back in the 90s. So he had his wheelchair cart and he came from Dublin, and every single night, anybody who wanted to participate in the sing-along, kind of like karaoke, kind of like a pub sing, mashed up all together, and the voices were amazing from all over. Some were not so amazing, but the confidence was amazing, and we supported one another. It was fantastic. I want to toast to all of you, wherever you are now, wherever you see yourself in the future. Please give one another insights and inspire one another. That's what we're here for. Hear, hear. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. All right. Mike is grammarian. Put your pen down. I'm going to say a lot of words that are inspirational. On Saturday morning at 8 a.m., we met with our caucus, Region 5. Doesn't that sound exciting? Maybe not. So for anyone who's paid attention, you know what? Okay, we're in AM Lockport, the club. What's the next level up? The area. What area are we? 11 still. Eric Schneider is our current Area 11 director. After that, we're in Division A. John O'Hare is our Division A director. And we're in what district? 65 for now. There's mergings and shiftings and changings. And we'll talk more about that in the future because we're still 65 for the rest of the year. Jillian Sheldon, the one with the Scottish accent who's been on Zoom to visit us before, is our district director. And lots of exciting things going on. For anyone who didn't hear, 3 weeks from today, we're doing a fall contest again. 3 weeks from today is the Tall Tales. We already have Marshall said, put me in, coach, put the rookie in. So he was asking about parameters the other day in an email. So Marshall is in and Maggie is in as competitors. And if anybody here is also available to compete or serve the other roles, judges, ballot counters, etc., I'll start signups for that also next week, or you can let me know. So I'll have the signups for the fourth quarter schedule by next week in person here, and I'll send on an email as well. And the entire schedule that was September 25th is getting bumped into October. So the entire lineup, led by Darcy as Toastmaster of the Day, she was gracious enough to say, sure, take that day, because we have to do it by the end of September. So we'll push it to the wire and do it the last Thursday in September. Back to Tall Tales, which we haven't heard in quite a while. David has a question from the floor. David. I haven't memorized it. Marshall, I sent you the link. Did you already look at the link? I think it's 3 to 5. I'm fair. Okay, the question is the timing parameters. Thank you for reiterating that the question is not heard on Zoom. The question was from the floor, the timing parameters for Tall Tales. I believe it is 3 to 5. That's something Phil or Gerald might have memorized. Familiar. Okay, the parameters and the judging, everything is on the TI website. Just Google what are the judges looking for, etc. And I will also have those materials available. I'll be serving as the chief judge, and I am looking for an MC for that day. So if you'd like to be the contest MC, you can be that. I'll be the chief judge to coordinate all those other roles, and we'll have an awesome contest. The next level, anybody who wins at that level goes on to the area contest. That's in October. That's on the District 65 calendar. Everything's on the calendar. And then on to the next. And then there is on November 22nd, the district contest. It will be at Roberts Wesleyan in Rochester. So we're really pulling things together and getting back on track, some of the legacy ways, and also infusing us with some new ways. So we're in Region 5. Last week I mentioned, what's our region? From Michigan to Quebec to Maine, that's Region 5. They do the elections of the odd-numbered regions this past year, and next year it will be the even number regions. I'm not going to go through the map. I'm not doing a PowerPoint of all those things. Our current president, who was just sworn in, is from South Africa. She is amazing. The woman who just swore her in, who's now immediate past international president, was from India. And our next one has been elected, and he's from Boston, Stefano McGee. Did any of you come to any of the videos in District 65? There were some presentations that our leadership, Avis, Brody, and them last year set up, and Stefano McGee was a guest at ours. He is a Spitfire. He's amazing. He works through Harvard Business Tech. He's fantastic. And he and his wife are both very involved with Toastmasters. She left the conference to take their son to college, actually. That's how devoted they are. And he had to miss because of the swearing in. That's crazy to me. Any case, our next region director is nearby in Toronto. So I think we'll have Andrew Horbury is his name, and I think he'll probably visit us on Zoom. He was born in Scotland also and has quite a tech background as well. And on the morning of Saturday, before the contest later that day and the dinner that evening, we were all together in a room, all the regions. You could join your caucus if you wanted. And it was after the business meeting had been done and the region had been decided of who was the leadership. And everybody who wanted in the icebreaker could stand up and say their name, their district, what their role is. Most of them were from trios, and they'd say a word of how they felt. This is why, Mike Licata, I said, put your pen down. I'm going to list the words that I wrote down that people said when they stood up in this room after many exhausting days, but still fired up. The question was from the outgoing regional director, how do you feel after the training so far and leading into the Saturday full of an amazing speaker, the contest of the 8 finalists, all of whom were incredible, and the evening dinner? And these were the words that I wrote down. These Region 5 partners of ours said, equipped, energized, jazzed, hopeful, ready, grateful, uncaffeinated yet unstoppable. That might have been my favorite. That was not mine. Empowered, excited, happy, proud, distinguished, ready, inspired, loved, supported, excited, hungover, uplifted, energized, optimistic, fantastic, amongst friends, privileged, reunited, and fortunate. And there were many others, but those were the highlights that really stood out in our region, again, from Michigan to Ontario, Quebec to Maine. I will now introduce our evaluators. In addition to table topics being smoother and allowing for others at the beginning end, most other clubs also have, and in our past we did this too, the evaluators introduced the speakers. Instead of being redundant and the evaluator and kicking back to the Toastmaster and depending where the Toastmaster was speaking, we will have each of the evaluators, so be on deck please evaluators, to hand off the lectern directly to your speaker. So we have 3 speakers today, 3 evaluators. And again, our evaluators, Mike Florio, David Jones, and Marty, please hand the lectern directly to your speaker. And be sure to tell Mr. Timer your timing. So Mike Florio on Zoom, are you ready to introduce Darcy, not just once, but also next time, since this is a 2-part project? Mike Florio.
Madam Toastmaster, I am ready. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. And I do not believe we have any guests. Mr. Timer, Darcy's speech will be 5 to 7 minutes. I do not believe this is Darcy's first speech, her icebreaker, but it is. She will be speaking from the Pathways Dynamic Leadership Level 1 Evaluate and Feedback. And Darcy's proposed the purpose of her speech this morning. The purpose of her speech is for the member to present a speech and receive feedback from the evaluator. Darcy's speech title this morning is The 5 Stages of Grief. Darcy Colby.
Thank you, Mike. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. On October 10th, 2024, my father passed away from colon cancer. He followed his doctor's advice not to get a colonoscopy after age 70, and at age 85, he was diagnosed with stage 4. A resection was performed, which removed a portion of the cancer, or a portion of his colon where the cancer resided, and the chemotherapy commenced. It was less than a year after that diagnosis that he passed. So this morning, you are all going to be my silent therapists while I verbalize my grief from this event and show how it fits or doesn't fit into the 5 stages of grief that are tutored by the experts. I'm going to share some insight into my inner world. Perhaps it will be therapeutic for me. We'll see. Perhaps you will be able to give me some of your insight, not only on my speech, but on your experiences with grief as well. Perhaps you'll throw up your hands and say, you know what, she's really crazy. In any event, this will make for some strong emotional fodder for a speech. Now, according to the experts, there are 5 stages of grief. Stage 1 is denial. And I'm really confused about this step because I don't recall doing any denial. There's no denying my dad was in the hospital in Florida for the resection. There's no denying I spent 2 weeks there, and I even gave him intravenous injections for 10 days after that, after the surgery. There's no denying he carried a bucket of poison around with him with a slow release injection of chemo. There's no denying he was in and out of the hospital 4 times in the few weeks leading up to his passing. There's no denying he was in a lot of pain, especially the last week. And there's no denying when the decision was made to give him the bad drugs, which signal the point of no return. There's no denial there were a lot of people at his funeral. There's no denying his hands were cold when I touched them as he lay in the casket. And there's no denying seeing his casket suspended over the hole at the cemetery. I guess I don't follow rules because I didn't do any denial. I live in the real world. We all hope for the best while we were preparing for the worst. Stage 2 is anger. There's no denying this stage. Of course I'm angry. I'm angry at the doctor's advice for not getting a colonoscopy after age 70 and that there are no other ways of detecting colon cancer. I'm angry my dad had to have major surgery at age 85. I'm angry that he had to suffer the effects of chemotherapy, which we are told were helping. I'm angry that our healthcare system has deteriorated so much that tests and procedures slip between the cracks, and he was sent to a nursing home when he should have been sent and kept in the hospital. I found this out when I made a phone call to his doctor, and in the conversation, as his doctor was looking through the information, he said, oh my God, he said, your father should have been sent to the emergency room 2 weeks ago. He suffered needlessly for 2 weeks. I'm angry that my dad succumbed to this awful disease we call cancer. Of course I'm angry, and it appears I still am. Stage 3 is bargaining. Once again, I don't recall doing any bargaining. We held tight to the plan that my father chose to have the chemo. We held tight to the doctor saying that the chemo was helping. We held tight to each day that we could be with him. We took each piece of information that we received as it came, and we did the best that we could with it. Once again, I didn't follow the rules, and I didn't do any bargaining. Stage 4 is depression. Seems like I keep bouncing back to this stage. And I recognize this fact, and I counteract this depression with some things that I think can help me deal with it. I walk an hour almost every day, and I sing my church songs, practicing for Sunday. I pray to God every day to help me get through this, and I thank God every day for all the good things that He has provided. It's hard to feel sorry for myself when I'm in a state of gratitude. I keep busy with 4 jobs, taking care of my flowers, my vegetable garden, with reading, with my music, anything to keep my mind off of the sadness that I feel. I hold dear to the good memories of my dad and all the good things he taught me throughout the years. Stage 5 is acceptance. Death appears to be pretty final, and I'm pretty sure my dad's not coming back to this world. I don't really know of anyone that has. There's one exception. I have this book on my coffee table. I don't even know where I got it from. It was on the New York Times, #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, about a story of a little boy's trip to heaven and back. But other than that, I don't know of any other ones. What other option do we have except to accept that death is a part of life? It is a reality that we will all have our time to go. You've heard the saying that the only thing for sure is death and taxes. There's no other option but acceptance and to plan accordingly. So my challenge to you, and mostly to myself, is to smile in the face of grief. Be happy for all the things that you can be happy about, because life is too short not to. Enjoy people, enjoy places, enjoy the beauty of flowers and all the little things along the way. And I thank God for it all. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Darcy. Our next evaluator is David Jones, evaluating Phil. David.
Morning, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. This morning, we're going to get some insight from Phil Russell for $0. He is speaking from the Innovative Planning Level 1 Research and Presenting. Mr. Timer, it is 5 to 7 minutes. And the purpose is to learn to review basic research methods and present a well-researched speech. Phil Russell, Planning for the Future, Phil Russell.
Look at this thing. I'll talk about that. What's that? It's my bag. It's my bag with my future, my past, my present, and my future. Everything's in there. Great place to put it. You don't see it. So therefore you forget it and procrastinate about it. Give you a little insight. Don't do it. You've got to open it up. You should see what's in this thing. It weighs about 10 pounds. You probably all have something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see what's in there. Oh, by the way, I'm going to talk a little bit about planning, but before that, the insight you get from going to these conferences, if you learn one thing, just one thing that helps you out, it's successful. My favorite part about conferences was the after party, of course, especially at coaching clinics. You'd see some fellow coaches and you'd let your hair down, and it was great. Some of the people I met were unbelievable. In business, met some of the finest, most successful people in business. It was great. Toastmasters, when I went to District 65, great conference. Great conference. I can't wait till it comes back closer. I'll try and get to it again. But I've kept myself so busy, I didn't get to my planning. Now, excuse me for, oh, look at this thing. What have I got in here? Oh, let's get this out. This is the real stuff. This is the planning stuff. This stuff is this good stuff, I think. Here's one. Financial services professionals. The lion. How about that? What else? Oh, the eagle. My master's degree in education. What else? Okay, probably some bills, things like that. Put them away as far as you can. Yes. I started planning. Well, I started in Toastmasters in 1982, and that's when I started getting this idea of planning, and it worked out. But before that, I planned, and I had a plan. I got this through a coaching clinic, and it was just sit down and do it, because that's what you have to do in coaching. You just have to do it because it happens instantaneously. And I had a plan on how far I would go in coaching. I started off and we were successful. We won a state championship here in Lockport at a little school called DeSales High School. I got a little sick for a while, and so I went out to Arizona. And I met up with a great guy, and I learned from probably one of the greatest coaches I could ever meet. He actually designed the offense that you see on television now. Ed Doherty. He's deceased. His whole goal was to end up at his dream job at Sal Point Catholic High School in Arizona, Tucson. And they named a stadium after him. He's deceased now, but what a man. Philadelphia Eagles won what was then the Super Bowl. He was the offensive coordinator. He found this guy named Anitis or something, and they didn't hire him, but he got to coach Norm Van Brocklin, if you know that name. And what ended up happening, he said to me, how do you coach Norm Van Brocklin? I said, I don't know. You don't. You don't. You let him play. And so and he told me one thing. You're either going to live like a gypsy in this coaching game, or you're going to find a place to settle down and stay there. So that was out in Arizona. Got a chance to start a college team, Buffalo State College, here in Buffalo. And we worked there 6 years, very successful. We got to the top 10 in the first 5 years. Tough to get there, tougher to stay there. We stayed for 6 years. The average stay is about 3 years. All of this was written down. Written down. Then I had an opportunity to meet with the Buffalo Bills. I didn't get any farther than just, okay, I want to, that's part of what I want to do. But I said, I'm going to live like a gypsy. I don't want to do that. So I stayed here. Ended up getting married, 2 kids, all this other stuff. Planning. Now I have all this stuff. A little worksheet. Look at all this stuff. These are future plans that I had. The one I'm going to use is an old planning tool. I don't even know if I can find it in here. Ah, there it is. There it is. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. My future planning workbook. I've used it once before. I never went any farther than using it. And then the other one, things to do today. Really good stuff. So now, instead of procrastinating, my job is to do it. Do it. I'm going to live to be 107. I have to put down, what do I want to accomplish the next 30 years? What do I want to accomplish the next 20 years? 10 years? 5 years? 4 years? 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to take 2 minutes to do this. I'm going to work on it. That's what I did before. Worked out nicely. All I have to do is do it. How many are you sitting there saying, I could do this? And how many of you have said that over and over again and not done it? Well, my job is to do it and to do it correctly with what I want to do, not with what anybody else wants to do. So, Madam Toastmaster, evaluator, just do it. Madam Toastmaster.
Just do it. Great work, Phil. Marty to introduce Les. Marty.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster Kate. Our final speaker of the day, I have the privilege to evaluate Les Robinson. Many of you that are aware of our educational program Pathways, this is interesting what Les is going to present today, because instead of a path like engaging humor or innovative plannings, these other projects, this is called the DTM. It's called the DTM, and it's a project that's listed on the Pathways program, and it's called DTM Second Speech. It's an 8 to 10 minute speech. Mr. Timer, Madam Timer. The title is Lessons in Finishing, How I Transformed My Project's Ending. The purpose is for Les to demonstrate his skills as a leader and or public speaker. And in this speech, Les will share some aspect of his experience completing this distinguished Toastmaster project. Please help me welcome Les Robinson, Lessons in Finishing, How I Transformed My Project's Ending. Les Robinson.
Thank you, Marty. Back in May, I did the first part of the speech, which was how to create new habits and behaviors for your clients. And in that process, I've gotten part of it published through insurance and advisory, and the other part will be in November of 2025. I also put a team together, and this project took a life its own on, and that's about the only way to explain it. Have you ever started something and you figure you're going to go to point A and you ended up over in, I have no idea. That's the only way to put it. It took a life of its own. Everybody on the team transformed to a different part of the end result, which is, I can't even explain that. That even gets beyond my comprehension of this program. So we had Ed for healthcare. We had Kathleen for fall, another Ed for investments. I was doing the behavioral change, and we wanted to interact this over the next 6 months, which we've done presentations. We're doing another one today. We have done all the pieces that we needed to do. And the end result was not what I expected. And that's about as far as I'm going to go there. Now I'm going to go back to the starting of the project. It kind of had a weird energy around the whole event. It was kind of it was developing its own life. And as I have done projects before, speeches, when your project kind of comes alive and starts to go in its own direction, you kind of make sure you're not being driven off the hill or it's doing a lot of stupid things. It's just very easy to explain that. All of a sudden is in our doing the healthcare part of our presentation of the team is the Medicare advantages in 2026 are going to be changing around. That is going to be number one. And the changes are going to involve a lot of different things, which can affect your whole planning process of any level need of care, which for incapacity, incompetence, disability, their need of long-term care or death, it had a complete changing on the planning process. Number two, Kathleen helps me out with my seminars, and basically I needed someone to come in and help coordinate. And there was the opportunity through Erie County University Express to take a fall imbalance prevention. She signed up Gretchen and also brought me in before I left for England. Ed had done some other changes in the planning process. Now, this is where it gets different, or this is where it gets really weird. As we were putting everything together, the project really took a turn on a Toastmasters event without me realizing it. Mike Florio, somewhere along the line, was talking about going to England. And I, in turn, about a week or two later, or when he came back, I called him and I said, I'm going to England, I'm going to France, I'm going to Ireland, but what's London like? And he explained how the tube work, how you get a credit card. And this was the key component right here. You're going to understand that the tube is very simple to use. Once you understand the map, you can't get lost. And Mike is correct. I left my hotel, which was a little over a mile from the airport, and I asked the lady at the desk, I said, by the way, where's the 350 bus stop? She says, it's right out there. I walked out the hotel, went across. I know what a bus stop looks like, and I know kind of what you're looking for, even though if you're in England. And I went back in 2 times, and they said, it's over there, it's over there. Finally, I walked out, and I'm walking around, and there's this person like, oh, I'm going to get the bus. So I followed the person to the bus, got on the right bus, got on the 350, and I went to Harrod, the airport. Then I followed the tube signs and I went into London. I got off the tube. And as I'm riding in the tube, I could hear Mike Florio's voice in the back, how the tubes explained how you watch all the little connecting dots so you don't get lost. I got off the tube. I walked down. If I would have taken a left, I believe I would have got on the Elizabethan line. The right would have been up and exited. Came out, took a couple pictures, went to Buckingham Palace. Again, I took the tube. I got off where I was supposed to. Instead of going up the wrong staircase, I went up the wrong staircase, went down, back up, got into the right side of London. Then I went to, of all places, I went to my creative development class. And I'm explaining everything. And I had an Indian person from India. We're not allowed to use names, but I could say where they're from. I had a person from India, 2 Romanians, a Brazilian, and a Canadian, and myself in my group. And I was looking at the presentation, or possibly doing my second speech at the Financial Planners Association as I was doing my presentation and talking about my article and interacting all the pieces. And the person from India goes, Les, that's an estate plan. And the Romanians go, that's an estate plan. The person from Brazil goes, that's an estate plan. And the Canadian goes, that's a estate plan. I said, no, not. This is a long-term plan. This is a Medicaid planning against, and you're building your foundation, doing your retirement. When you retire, make sure your spouse and changes, your estate, and anywhere along the line, the long-term care event can come in and wipe you out. But if we can have family to work with this, you'll reduce the logistics and reduce losing money. And they said, why don't you go back and look at it and think about it as an estate plan and see how you want to do it. And I sat there and I thought about problems and situations that I've run into. And it took me about 10 minutes to redo the whole presentation. Next day I came in, I basically reframed the whole presentation and I said, this is an estate process. This does A, B, C, D, E, and this is the downside of the estate process. If it does everything correctly, everything will work. If anywhere along the line you have a medical event that can cause sinkings of your estate plan, or if your plan by your advisor was not set up correctly to take you to the end, or your advisor had retired, your boat will sink. And how do you help that out? I reframed the whole thing in about 10 minutes, and what a different presentation this had become. It was amazing that I had worked all these years, did everything I was to do, and it took, I think the part of it was Mike Florio and riding the Piccadilly line. And only Mike and I would understand what the Piccadilly line is for London, unless you've been to London, is how something so simple will sit in the back of your subconscious, which will go to your consciousness. And then people that have nothing to do with your industry tell you that you have something, you built a complete project and you had named it wrong. And that was the amazing part of this. And then I came back and I met with the group and I showed them and they all started laughing. And this must have been they also, well, we all thought it was a estate plan. You presented it as an estate plan. You presented it as Medicaid. You presented it this. I said, I said, I want to reframe this presentation and I want to show you it. And I sat them all in the room, went through the whole thing, and they're just like, that minute change changed the whole paradigm of what your project's doing. You went from a situation where nobody wanted to talk about to a situation where everybody wants to protect and preserve their estate. You also have interacted a whole complete care planning change to interact family so it doesn't sink your estate. You're making that as a secondary tool, and you've built the complete infrastructure of all of that. So my end result is that the person who's doing the health part of it is interacting more into a holistical plan. The person who is helping me with it, her and her friend took a fall prevention class, who they're not teaching fall prevention when we do these mini seminars that we've been doing through this DTM project. But what they're doing is facilitating people to sign up at University Express through Erie County. And what that does is very simple, is they get a list of people, then they take it to the libraries that we've been doing these presentations at, and then the University Express comes in for fall prevention, because fall prevention is your number one way of protecting your assets. And this goes back to the end of result of the behavioral changes. But the behavioral changes have to be at a wider aperture, at a bigger, to bring more people in, versus me being in this microcosm that no one wants to talk about. I changed from this to this, which if I didn't do this project, and I believe if I didn't call Mike Florio, I still would be under the same small aperture of presenting to people. So this project has had a lot of success with a lot of people that we've been helping. And then November, when the article gets put out nationally, it'll really change the paradigm in the country of care. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Les. I learned in my trip to London, you do not take the stairs down to the tube. That tube is deep. I think, oh, I'm just going to get some steps in, no problem. Take the escalator, folks. Take the elevator. Do not. It's creepy staircases, and they are very, very deep. I just dropped my phone, so I'm just going to grab that. Let's get a timer's report, please. He's on deck and ready. Mark.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, I am pleased to report that all three speakers qualified: Darcy at 6:05, Phil at 7:19, and Les at 9:49. Madam Toastmaster.
Beautiful. Please vote. In the Zoom space, your voting ballot will come up, and Darcy is coming around to pick up your ballots in the room. Thank you, Les, for the reminder on fall prevention to falling prevention. Not preventing fall. It's my favorite holiday or season. Autumn is my favorite. I unfortunately, when I was in Philadelphia, I couldn't go to a funeral back home here. One of my friends' mothers passed away after a hip fracture and fall. And so really look out for your family, look out for your friends, because she was an amazing person. She and her husband were married, folks, for 71 years. 71 years. So that's incredible. In any case, we will swiftly move into our evaluation portion, please. Be on deck and ready. Our first evaluator is Mike Florio. Mike, are you ready? Evaluating Darcy.
Yes, I am. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Darcy. Darcy, I wish I were there right now to give you a big hug. You know, it takes a lot of guts, really it does, to go through an emotional speech. And Toastmasters is the place. This is the place to do something like that, where you can do a speech like this, and you're amongst family. Even already, you've showed that you can fit into what we have here. So it's a safe place. It really is. And my condolences to you and to your father and to your family. It's not an easy thing to go through. I've gone through it myself. I've done the same speech almost, at Toastmasters, so I know what you're going through, and it's not easy, but you're moving through the stages. You really are. Your comfort level, because you're a performer, you can see it already. This is what, maybe your second or third speech. And because you can perform in front of people, you naturally have the ability to be calm, even in a situation like this. You held it together, even though it was a rough speech. So I commend you for that. I really do. Your clarity was excellent. Your vocal variety, you could have, and I'm nitpicking here, really. I mean, because of the way the speech is, you could have shown your anger a little bit more, right? At the healthcare system. I think a lot of people these days are the same way. They're angry and they want to show that anger to someone, and the healthcare system's a pretty easy target these days. And I won't say really too much more about that. Your eye contact, it seemed like you were reading a lot. And I know even in the beginning that you were trying very hard. I could see you writing even more notes before, and you wanted to get everything out that you possibly could. And that's usually why you read. And my challenge to you really is, all you needed were the 5 stages of grief. If you saw those words, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, you could have told your own story from it because you lived it, right? And you didn't need to really read from it. So I challenge you on future speeches. I know that you were trying this time to get out as much as you possibly can to the audience, and I thought you did a great job of that, really, of explaining the different levels and basically saying what you went through as a family member. Just remember something. There's a speech you write, there's a speech you practice, and there's a speech that you give, and all 3 are going to be different. Not any worse or any better, but all different. So just keep that in mind, that it's all on the cuff, really. And I like how you wrapped it up. You said life is short, enjoy it. And I believe that that is a great message that we need to get out to more of our Toastmasters. Madam Toastmaster.
So true. I've heard that stages of grief don't always come in numerical order, too. They come in waves and they can go out of order. It depends on the timing. And like Darcy and Mike both said, we all face it in different ways. Thanks for the reminders and sharing. Our next evaluator, David Jones, evaluating Phil. David, are you ready?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and thank you, Phil. All right. Planning for the future. Well, first, Phil, I appreciate you being in person. That way, we only saw one of you. When you're on Zoom, there's always 2 Phils. So being in person for a speech, I think is great. It just gives a little something extra. And one of my favorite things you did was you had props. I'm a big prop person. You had a bag with the past, present, and future. Well, that was wonderful. And to the basics, you obviously had great hand gestures, vocal varieties, and you were parked behind the lectern, but you had props. So it's understandable that you're not going to walk around with a bag of tricks with you. And then you made the speech a little bit relatable when you said that the after party is the best part of a conference, and that's usually when the real work and networking gets done. So that was relatable. I thought it was a good point that you made. And not only did you have a prop, but you showed us what's inside the bag, kind of a memory lane for you. I thought that was wonderful. And the next thing I learned from you was I thought you and I were close in age, but you said that you started Toastmasters in 1982, and I was still in high school back then. So that was a curiosity. Now, for room for improvement, the purpose of your speech was research, and I didn't really hear any research other than your own personal knowledge. And I do give you props because you said the average tenure for a college coach is 3 to 4 years. That's your personal experience. And if you would have done a little research, you would have found that the average tenure for a current FBS coach is 3.7 years. You were right on the money. And I got that from On3 website on May of 2022, so pretty current. But just something little like that, even at the end, you said, just do it. You could have easily referenced that. That was Nike, and that started in 1988. I got that from Wikipedia, which is not a reliable source, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. So those just the two rooms for improvement is just doing research on a couple of items. Now, finally, whenever you speak, it's like a general conversation. You're talking to the audience. You're talking to us as individuals. I thought you were just talking to me, but evidently there's other people there. And I liked your quote. It was, "Don't coach him, let him play." And that reminded me of Dennis Rodman from the Bulls, where he wouldn't get into the huddles, and his position was, what is the coach going to tell me in 30 seconds that I don't already know? So that was a relatable quote for me. And finally, you crack yourself up when you speak. And it's fun to listen to you, and it's a joy no matter what the subject is. And I always enjoy hearing you speak, Phil. So thank you for your speech, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, David Jones.
Mhm.
And welcome to the lectern, Marty, evaluating Les.
Thank you, Kate. And Les, wonderful job on your speech this morning. You excelled at getting to the point about your presentation, that you were getting ready. The presentation was timely with the information that you gave about estate planning and Medicaid. And you hit home the point how important it is to listen to other people. You know, everyone may have their agenda or what they want to say, and you think it's right and it's going to fit the audience, but you listened, which is probably one of the most important skills, not only as a Toastmaster, but as someone that's going for their DTM and pathways, to listen, because that helped you revamp your speech, your project, your presentation that you were giving for work. A couple things you may want to work on, and this is coming from my heart because I want you to improve. As a DTM, I can say this because I'm not perfect and I want to help you. Your face was a shade of red. I just happen to have this in my, I don't know if you can see this. I just happen to have this in my planner. It was just a little note card of a thing to do list. Thank you, Phil. And it was a shade of red, your face, or pink. And I don't know how to correct that, but I'm sure you could figure it out. And the other thing I noticed that I want to help you with is your camera positioning. I saw some of the ceiling in your picture, and I think it would have helped if you would have bent or tweaked your camera or your phone or your laptop so we would see more of you in the square versus the ceiling. And that was just a minor point. I heard your main points. What I would have liked to had some more vocal variety and had you possibly enumerate 1, 2, 3, your main points to engage the audience fully. And last, finally, to challenge yourself, let us know where you stand with your DTM requirements, because I know that'll help AM Lockport as we strive to reach not only Distinguished Club program status, but even better. And if I can help you in any way, or any other members, I have pre-printed some forms with all the DTM requirements, and I look forward to hearing where you stand with your DTM requirements. And all the best to you, Les. Madam Toastmaster, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marty. I'll leave the microphone up high for Mark for one final timers report here for our evaluations. It's looking good. Couldn't really tell.
Thank you once again, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Once again, all three participants in this category qualified. Mike Florio at 320, little help from the buffer. David Jones at 254 and Marty at 239. Madam Toastmaster.
Bravo. Thank you very much, Mark. I didn't even ask Marty to reference our paths, but just giving advice to Les and on his DTM, I brought something else from the store. I bought these handy dandy, we needed 2 because we have so many members, these handy dandy charts the Pathways Achievement Chart. So I will be hanging these, leaving these here, prepping these with my officers team. And it's a great way for us to see our progress through the year for our distinguished club points and distinguished club to reach individual goals and reach club goals to get back to being president's distinguished. And I referenced this last week, but guess what? There's something higher than President's Distinguished now. It started 18 months ago, and it is in honor of our founder called the Smedley's Distinguished. So instead of reaching 9 out of 10 points to be President's Distinguished, Smedley's clubs reach 10 out of 10 points. So we will strive for that. Let's get right to our closing reports and closing announcements, et cetera, et cetera. I think that I will invite first up Mary. Are you ready to be our quiz master? I did. I dropped all kinds of things on the floor. So many goodies. I'll get them out of your way, though.
Question.
4 questions? Fabulous.
How many jobs did Darcy help to do during her grievance process? 4. How old does Phil think he's going to live for? 107. Where is the next Toastmaster International Convention? Vancouver. And last, what is happening in 3 weeks that Kate is excited for? The contest. Tall Tale.
Bravo, Mary. Bravo. Thank you for 4 excellent questions. Yes, 3 weeks away is the contest. Now, if Vancouver seems out of your, you don't have the time, it's too far, it's too costly, save the date for May 1st and May 2nd. What do you think is May 1st and May 2nd? Come on, the District 65, I'm not even repeating that, huh? Thank you, David Licata. So District 65's conference, and location is to be determined. There is a strong contingency from Rochester, folks. It's also central to the district, so it may be in Rochester again. But if we want it back in our Division A, we have to be involved, and we can maybe get it back. It hasn't been decided yet. Maybe it'll be ours in Niagara Falls or Buffalo area. If not this year, then maybe next year. Okay, our other reports, I think it's Mike doing double duty. Am I missing anybody on this? Oh, let's do Sylvia first. And she's already on deck, and then Mike will be on deck after that. Sylvia, counting our ahs, ums, and so's. Thank you for reviving the so count.
Well, at the beginning, I thought I was just going to sit there, enjoy my coffee, and listen to everybody. I didn't hear anything, but then we started a little. Joe had 1 so. Tracy had a start over. Steve, and then he had a start over. He said I think he did something like that. Kate, you speak so fast, but I did hear, you didn't say, you said, a lot of short A's in your vocabulary. And a so. Mike Florio, and 2 words together. And also I learned something today with your evaluation. You write 1 speech, you practice another that you gave, and you give another. I like that. That's true. Darcy, 100%. You're just perfect today. Phil had a little start over. You stopped, and then you started. And that's about it. I kind of lost everybody afterwards, but good job, folks.
Thank you, Sylvia. It's a strong listening challenge to count our ahs and ums. Mike doing double duty, wordmaster, grammarian.
Thank you, Kate. I'll start with the grammarians report. We had many strong speakers, but some of the stuff I did enjoy this morning. Len using zooming in, using zoom as a verb is something we've all gotten used to in the last 5 years. Darcy Rawl, your silent therapist this morning. Phil, I do some of the bad stuff. You did end a sentence with a preposition, but I do like the theme of your closing of "just do it." Les, you misspoke the first time you said "take a life on its own." Took a turn, paradigm, and aperture. I thought was great descriptive language this morning. And to get to the word, David Jones used it once, Kate used it twice, Darcy used it once, and Phil used it once, and that is my word report for today.
Thank you so much, Mike. Am I forgetting any reports? Okay. I'm going to leave a final quote before we wrap up with our final announcements, and I call Marty back up. Stefano McGee, who will be the next president starting in July, he said something that I wrote down that said, he said, make sure your club is a place people want to go. Make sure your club is a place people want to go. I think we do that pretty well. We're not spectacular. We can always improve on that. Perfect is just a word in the dictionary, folks. Things can always get better. We can say, it's perfect. We're all here to improve more and more and more. Okay. Heading off, Marty, who will ask for other announcements. I have some announcements here. Jim Hildreth, one of the YMCA members and instructors, popped in before the meeting and offered up that they are doing a pickleball court dedication out in Day Road Park. So it must be by the loop there. I'm not sure. It's a big park. So that is on September 17th at 11:30 a.m. So that's exciting. Day Road Park. Also, I happened to see as I was coming in, the next Red Cross blood drive located here is Monday, the 22nd of September. So those flyers are out. And yes, I'm looking forward to the contest in 3 weeks, but just next weekend is the Celtic Festival, of course. I'm still looking for logistics volunteers if anybody is interested in seated positions or in mobile positions. I've got lots of opportunities. And I have Marty to introduce back here, and I have our winners. You want to do that?
Absolutely. We'll announce the winners. Our best table topics today, Steve Smith. Steve Smith.
A legacy ribbon. One left in the whole room. Do you want it? It was hiding in the timing binder, but Dart's helping us organize again.
Way to go, Steve.
That?
Awesome. Way to go, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Best evaluator today, Mike Florio. Mike. Our best speaker today, Darcy Colby. Anywhere. Drawing for 50-50 for the split club.
Our Toastmaster next week is David Jones, live in person. Come in person, folks. So
Nice.
please be here for that. And our speakers, Phil, you're on again. That's good, right? Because you stepped on as an alternate, or did you want to back out for speaking next week? Steve, you're the alternate. So if you're on deck to speak next week, that would be appreciated by Phil. Our other speakers are Tracy and Margot. Okay.
Thank you, Kate. And the winning split club, the last three numbers, 996. 996. Dave Licata. Are there any closing announcements? Michael? Mike?
Real quick, we will do the second chance drawing next weekend when we have more time. So we'll do that.
Drawing for membership next week. Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? David Jones, is there a theme for next week that you know?
Yes, and I think your internet is struggling. You're starting to go on this. FYI, but are you there? You guys are okay, perfect. My theme will be baseball. Talking about baseball. Now, I know Mark's in the background rolling his eyes. I'm not going to speak about the Mets because the Yankees and Mets are too close in the standings to talk smack. So it's just about baseball because the World Series is at the end of October. So baseball.
Thank you, David. Anyone else? Meeting adjourned.